Beloved child, I come to you not through a violent wind that throws your heart into panic, nor through words that glitter on the outside but are empty within. I do not call you through pressure. I do not pull you by the fear of missing your portion, nor do I set before you promises that make you flare up for a moment and then leave you sitting in a vast emptiness afterward. My voice does not confuse you. My voice draws you back into steadiness. When I speak, you may feel the seriousness, but you are not crushed. You may sense the urgency, but you are not pushed into haste. You may be awakened, yet still have peace to discern, to consider, and to walk with a clear heart. For I am your Father, and a true Father does not lead you by a cord of terror, but by the hand of love. I do not create an artificial moment and tell you to seize it immediately before everything disappears. I place before you a path, and on that path, I teach you to walk step by step with wisdom. There are voices out there that are very skilled at making you believe your life is standing on the edge, that if you are only one beat too slow, you will lose what was meant for you. There are words wrapped in a spiritual appearance, yet inside they sow pressure, so that after hearing them, your heart becomes shaken. Your imagination runs toward dark possibilities, and your hands hurriedly grasp anything called a sign. My child, learn to pause before such voices. Not every word that mentions heaven comes from the light. Not everything that stirs you deeply is guidance. Not every door that opens quickly is a door I have opened. There are flames that flare only to draw the eye, but are not enough to warm a long road. There are shortcuts that make you think you are being delivered, yet the farther you walk, the more you lose the purity, the peace, and the alertness I have planted within you. Therefore, I do not only want you to hear, I want you to discern. I have seen you in the days when you quietly battled burdens no one knew about. I have seen you sitting before the numbers, calculating each amount that must be paid, each thing still lacking, each unanswered gap. I have seen you in the nights when your eyes stayed open and your heart could not rest, when the future seemed like a road covered in mist, and you wondered whether you were moving too slowly, too late, too small compared to others. But beloved child, I have never measured you by the pace of the crowd. I do not use the applause of the world as the measure of your worth. I do not look at you through what you can display outwardly, but I look into the hidden place, where you still choose what is right when no one sees, still keep your heart upright when shortcuts appear, and still work in silence even when no one recognizes you. The things you thought had been forgotten, I know them all. The times you swallowed your tears so you would not wound someone else, I know. The times you refused an easy gain because your heart recognized it was not clean, I know. The times you remained faithful in small things, still tried to keep your word, still chose kindness even when you were tired, I have not taken them lightly. Before my eyes, quiet faithfulness echoes louder than outward splendor. A tree does not stand firm because its flowers bloom brightly in one morning, but because its roots cling deeply to the soil through many seasons of rain and sun. Therefore, before I expand your life, I often strengthen what is within. Before I place something greater into your hands, I repair your endurance, your clarity, your tenderness, and your foundation. Do not regard a slow season as a season of abandonment. Many times, it is the season in which I am making your roots deeper, so that when strong winds come, you will not fall. Do you remember the prophet Elijah? After days of facing great trials, he became weary, afraid, and withdrew into a lonely place. He had seen fire from heaven, had witnessed mighty power, yet there also came a time when his heart trembled like a person who had run out of strength. When he stood before the mountain, there was a great wind passing by. There was shaking. There was fire blazing up. All of those things were powerful. All were astonishing. All could easily make people think that was where I was most clearly present. But I did not choose to speak to him through those loud displays. It came through a gentle, quiet voice, deep enough to touch the place where he was exhausted, true enough to lead him out of the darkness of despair. Do you see? Beloved child, the loudest thing is not always the thing that comes from me. The most shocking thing is not always a sign of guidance. Sometimes I am in the holy stillness, where you stop struggling, stop panicking, stop searching for an outer shout to confirm your worth, and begin to hear again the voice of peace I have placed within you. Therefore, when you hear a word that makes you feel you must immediately prove your faith through fear, step back and ask, is this drawing you closer to me or pulling you into chaos? Is it enlarging your heart in trust or choking you with pressure? Does it make you cleaner, humbler, and wiser? Or does it merely sweep you into a fever of longing? I do not teach you to close your heart to everything, but I teach you not to give your heart to every voice. Wisdom is not suspicion of everything. Wisdom is knowing how to test the fruit, how to look at the outcome, how to recognize what nourishes life within you and what merely awakens your sense of lack. I am removing from you the habit of comparing yourself with others. I know that whenever you see someone moving quickly, receiving what you are still praying for, walking through the door where you are still waiting, a small voice within you whispers that you are not good enough, not loved enough, not worthy enough. But that voice does not belong to me. I do not call you through mockery. I do not use another person's success to make you feel smaller. Every life has its own season. Every seed has its own time to break open. Every path has its own rhythm of unfolding. What I am preparing for you does not have to look like what I am doing for someone else in order to be a blessing. And what comes from me does not have to arrive in a hurry to prove that I still remember you. I remembered you before you even knew how to name your worry. Let me settle the muddy waters in your heart. Do not stir them up with self-condemning questions. Do not throw more stones into them through impatience. Do not let outside words, exaggerated words, words that make you afraid, cause the water within you to no longer reflect the light. I am teaching you to become still without becoming passive, alert without becoming tense, trusting without becoming blind. You will know how to wait without losing hope. You will know how to step forward without chasing noise. You will know how to open your heart while still keeping discernment. And when a door truly opened by me appears, you will not need to be pushed into it by fear. You will recognize it by peace, by alignment, by good fruit, by the gentle yet certain light spread beneath your feet. Beloved child, there are seasons when I do not tell you to run faster, nor do I demand that you understand everything that is happening. I only invite you to keep your heart in a posture of readiness, like a gatekeeper who knows his master will return. Though he does not know exactly which watch of the night it will be, that readiness is not tension, and it is certainly not living in fear that you will miss something. The readiness I teach you is a gentle wakefulness, a heart that does not fall asleep in despair, eyes that are not dimmed by bitterness, hands that do not let go of what is good. And within you, there remains a small flame protected from the cold winds of life. You do not need to burn like a great torch before everyone. You only need to let the light within you remain true. A small lamp kept by faithful trust is worth more than many flames that blaze up because of emotion and then go out when the night grows long. I know there are nights when you feel as though you no longer have the strength to keep believing. At times, your prayer no longer forms into words, but is only a weary breath, a silent sigh, a stillness you do not know how to name. But my child, I do not despise those moments of weakness. I do not come to rebuke you because you have trembled, nor do I turn my face away when you can no longer maintain the appearance of strength. I am your Father, and I understand that there are wearinesses that do not show on the face, storms that make no sound, battles that take place in the deepest places where no one can see. What I desire from you is not that you always stand upright as though you have never been hurt. What I desire is that when you are weary, you still know how to return to me. When you do not understand, let your heart become still. When you doubt, do not quickly conclude that I have moved far away. When you are weak, call me with all your truth. For one sincere cry in the darkness can open more light than 1,000 words spoken while you are merely trying to appear fine. On that journey, you will realize that true light does not always need to reveal itself through greatness. There are small things that carry the power to preserve you through an entire long season. A word of gratitude in a day of lack. A decision to forgive while your tears are still hot. A silence that does not retaliate. A moment when you choose to do what is right, even when no one praises you. These things are like drops of oil poured into a lamp. They do not make a loud sound, but they keep the flame from going out. And remember, heaven is not as distant from you as fear once told you. My presence draws near in the very moment you dare to believe before seeing. Dare to love before being answered. Dare to stand still in goodness while everything around you pushes you toward complaint. Wherever there is true faith, light has already begun. Wherever there is a heart that does not surrender to darkness, I am quietly rebuilding hope. Therefore, do not let your heart be so filled with what is past that there is no room left for what I am arranging. There are memories you need to lay down, not because they did not hurt, but because you were not born to live forever in the old room of injury. There are words you once heard that made your heart heavy. There are disappointments that once made you afraid to open the door. There are delays that made you think the promise had gone astray. But I am teaching you to release, not so you may lose, but so you may receive. When your hands still hold tightly to resentment, it is hard for you to receive the grace that is coming. When your heart is stuffed full of fear, it is hard for you to recognize the gentle knocking of hope. Grace often enters by a very quiet path, and only the heart that is settled can recognize its footsteps. Do not think that blessing only takes the form of laughter, ease, and doors opening wide immediately. Sometimes blessing comes in a season of testing, where I train in you endurance so that good things will not make you proud, peace, so that greater things will not confuse you, humility, so that when you are lifted up, you will still know how to bow before me. A great gift placed into unsteady hands can become a burden. Therefore, there are times when I slow the pace of your life in order to deepen your capacity. You see slowness, but I see protection. You see delay, but I see preparation. You see a detour, but I see you being led away from collisions you are not yet strong enough to face. Time in my hands is not a whip of punishment. It is a quiet loom weaving what you cannot yet see in full. Remember Joseph, beloved child. When he was young, he saw bright dreams, but the path leading to their fulfillment did not go through easy steps. He was thrown into a pit, sold far away, misunderstood, forgotten in a prison. If seen through human eyes, every stage looked like a step backward, but in my hand, each stage was shaping a person who could stand before power without being corrupted by power, who could hold the food supply of many peoples without losing reverence, who could forgive those who had once wounded him. The day he was brought out of confinement was not a coincidence. It was the appointed time that had ripened. The years that seemed lost were not useless. They became a school of wisdom, patience, and the ability to steward blessing. It is the same with you. Not every silent stretch is the absence of me. There are places where I hide you in order to build you. There are months and days when I let you remain outside the attention of the world so that I may form within you a strength that does not need to display itself. Therefore, learn to recognize the small signs I place along your road. I do not always shake the sky to tell you I am working. Sometimes I send someone at the right time to speak a word that lifts you up. Sometimes a door you thought had long been closed quietly opens a little. Sometimes a delay leads you away from something harmful. Sometimes a meeting that seems ordinary connects you to a new direction. Do not despise small details, because in my hand, even a tiny piece can become the connecting point for an entire great picture. The prayers you once spoke through tears do not dissolve into nothingness. The times you chose love instead of bitterness are not forgotten. The times you kept your heart clean amid the temptation of resentment are being gathered by me, joined together, and made into a chain of light, leading you through the place where you thought you were only enduring. If today you cannot yet see everything clearly, do not let that make you troubled. Many blessings can only be understood after you have walked far enough. A traveler walking in the night often cannot see the whole path beneath his feet. But when dawn rises, he realizes that every step he took had been preserved. You too will one day look back and understand why I did not give you that thing sooner. Why I closed a door that seemed necessary. Why I let you wait one more season. Why I removed someone from your life. Why I led you through narrow paths instead of the broad road you desired. Then you will no longer call the slow days loss, but mercy concealed in a form you did not yet understand. So, my child, keep your lamp burning through steadfast faith. Do not let the wind of doubt make you release your hand from what I have planted. Do not let weariness turn you into someone closed off from love. Do not let the past take the place of the new thing. You do not need to know the whole journey in advance. You only need to walk with me in the portion of light given for today. When you need rest, lean on me. When you need to cry, cry in my presence. When you need to rise, I will lift you with my gentle strength. What belongs to you within my good purpose will not be lost. It is coming in a way more subtle than you imagine, at a time more fitting than you expect, and with a depth greater than what you once asked for. Keep your heart bright, beloved child, for true light does not need to be noisy. It only needs to be guarded, and I will make it enough to light your way to the blessing already waiting for you. Beloved child, there are things I do not give immediately, not because I have forgotten you, nor because your prayers and your mother's prayers have dissolved into meaningless emptiness. There are doors that close in order to keep you from entering a room where, at that time, your heart was not yet steady enough to stand. There are refusals that hurt you, but later you will understand that they were not a full stop, but a merciful fence I built around you. You once thought delay was proof that I was silent, that if I loved you, everything should open more quickly, more easily, more brightly. But my child, I am the father of timing, not a servant of your impatience. I see the thing you ask for, the person you will become after receiving it, and the hidden dangers beneath the beautiful outer layer that your eyes are not yet able to distinguish. Therefore, there are times when I let you wait, not to make you wither, but to enlarge your capacity. There are times when I let you pass through lessons that are not pleasant, not to wound you further, but to teach you how to keep peace when what you hope for has not yet arrived. There are times when I allow you to touch the limits of yourself so that you stop putting your trust in haste. Stop thinking that merely obtaining what you want will make everything all right. Many things you once begged for when your heart was still immature, if I had placed them immediately in your hands, you might have used them to fill an emptiness instead of living with gratitude. You might have embraced them with fear instead of stewarding them with wisdom. You might have lost them simply because you had not yet been trained deeply enough to keep them. I do not only want you to receive blessing, I want you to become someone who can carry blessing without being shaken by it. Your mother prayed for you with a love you often could not fully see. Some of the words she brought before me were not only requests that your way be opened, that you be lifted up, that you be delivered from hardship, but also requests that you be prepared. She asked me to soften the hardened places in you, to illuminate the places where you were still mistaken, to teach you patience when you only wanted results, to teach you surrender when you wanted control. Perhaps before, you only heard in your mother's prayers a simple desire that you would have peace, success, and healing. But beneath those words was another depth. She wanted you to be mature enough not to destroy what I give, humble enough not to forget the source of grace, and enduring enough not to give up simply because the sowing season lasts longer than you expected. Remember that true prayer does not always create immediate outward change. Many times, it first changes the foundation within. Your mother may not have seen great signs right away, but I listened to every word. I received every tear. Every night, she silently mentioned your name. Every worry she laid down before me when she did not know what else she could do. Those prayers were like seeds buried deep in the earth. On the surface, you only saw silence, but in the hidden place, roots had begun to spread. The soil had begun to embrace the life within the seed, and the harvest was being formed in a way human eyes had not yet recognized. Do not despise what has not yet appeared. Do not assume that what is hidden is ineffective. I often begin my greatest works with very small movements in places no one can see. Perhaps you look back and see many years as though they have been dropped and lost. You see wrong choices, missed opportunities, seasons when fear held your heart tightly, years when wounds slowed your steps. You wonder whether your life still has time to blossom, whether what was lost can be restored, whether the parts of you that once became dry and barren can ever become green again. Beloved child, I am not limited by your calendar. I do not look at broken years the way you do. In my hand, even what you call late can become right on time. Even what you call loss can become material for restoration. Even the roads you thought were winding detours can become corridors leading you to a stronger place. I am the one who can gather scattered pieces, breathe new life into areas that have grown cold, and make what was once dry become good soil. Do you remember Naomi? She left her homeland in a season of famine, then passed through losses so heavy that when she returned, she no longer wanted to be called by her old name. In human eyes, her life seemed finished. Her husband was gone. Her sons were gone. And the future looked like the dusty road of a woman returning with empty hands. But I did not write her ending in that place of loss. I placed beside her a faithful Ruth, opened a field that seemed ordinary, guided their steps into a quiet arrangement, and from the very life that appeared broken, I brought forth a story of restoration greater than she could imagine. What you see is a woman returning in poverty. What I see is a stream of grace being joined again. What she thought was ashes, in my hand, became the sprout of a new season. It is the same with you. I do not waste your tears. I do not throw away the days and months in which you learned hard lessons. I do not look lightly upon the times you stood up after stumbling. Those things are not proof that you failed. They are pages I can use to write wisdom, compassion, and gentle strength within you. When I restore, I do not merely return what you lost in the old way. I often bring a new life that is deeper, purer, and more mature. I can make a place once filled with fear become a place where you know how to comfort others. I can make a wound that once caused you to close yourself off become a door through which you understand the hearts of people more deeply. I can use the very road you feel ashamed of to teach you humility. and use the things you once wept over with regret as the foundation for a testimony that does not need to boast. Your mother did not only pray that you would hurt less, she prayed that the good part within you would be awakened again, that the faith that had grown weary would be lifted up, that the light within you would not be extinguished by dark seasons. She prayed that you would not only be healed outwardly, but rebuilt from within, not only escape the old, but learn to enter the new with alertness. I heard those prayers, and I am working even in the days when you think nothing is moving. There are changes that begin with the way you no longer react as you once did. There is healing that begins at the moment you stop condemning yourself. There are doors that first open within your heart, and only afterward appear in your life outwardly. So, do not curse the delay. Do not regard closed doors as your enemies. Do not think every refusal is failure. There are things I hold back because I love you more deeply than your momentary desire. There are things I keep in reserve because I am causing you to grow. There are things I have not yet allowed you to touch because I want the day you receive them to be a day when you stand in peace rather than tremble. Live in gratitude rather than fear losing them, and steward them with wisdom rather than be controlled by them. You are not behind my plan. You are being led through the necessary stretches, even when those stretches do not look like what you once imagined. Place even the years you regret into my hands. Place there the prayers that have not yet seemed answered, the hopes that once grew cold, the parts you think no longer have any chance to live again. I do not take your brokenness in order to accuse you. I take it in order to recreate. I do not call you back to remind you how much you have lost. I call you to show you that, in my hands, there are still many things that can blossom. When the time comes, you will understand that I was not late. I was only making everything ripen in its proper season. And when grace blooms, you will not only rejoice because you received what you asked for, you will give thanks because I prepared you deeply enough to receive it without losing yourself. I also want you to understand this. The word I have sown over your life is not as fragile as your emotions. It does not change color according to the days when you are happy or sad. It is not stronger when you feel worthy, nor weaker when you look at yourself with disappointed eyes. My word is not like the words of people, promising today because they are moved, forgetting tomorrow because they are tired. When I place a purpose within you, I do not withdraw it just because you move slowly. I do not cancel it just because you have a season of confusion. I do not turn my back simply because you once stumbled. I correct you, but I do not throw you away. I shape you, but I do not crush you. I wait for you, but I do not wait in helplessness. I wait as a father who knows clearly what he is building within you. There are desires within you that have been there for a very long time. So long that now you are no longer certain where they came from. You wonder whether they were only youthful dreams, innocent longings from the early years of life, or things faded by time. But look more carefully. Among many desires that have come and gone, there are a few things that have quietly remained. They are not noisy. They do not force you to display them, but they continue to live steadily in your heart. Like a seed, sleeping deep, waiting for the proper season of rain. That may be a calling I placed within you early. That may be a portion of the path I prepared, even though you once went around through many other ways. That may be a small flame I preserved through many windy seasons, so that at the right time, it would burn again, not with the haste of youth, but with the steadiness of a heart that has been trained. You may have taken detours, but you have not gone out of my sight. You may have stayed too long in places not worth staying, but my purpose has not disappeared because of that. You may have wasted energy on things that bore no fruit, trusted a few wrong voices, condemned yourself more than necessary, but I am not panicked as you are. I do not sit on the throne in confusion. I do not look at you and say that the plan has been ruined. I am calm because I see the ending while you are only seeing the middle. I am patient because I know how to lead you back. I am steady because what I have spoken does not depend on your temporary stability, but on my own unshakable faithfulness. Therefore, when your heart trembles, lean into my calmness. When your mind is tangled like a spool of thread pulled apart, sit again in my presence and let me untie each knot. You do not need to understand your whole life in one day. You do not need to repair everything in one night. You do not need to prove that you have become a completely different person before I love you. My love comes before your perfection. It is that very love that changes you. I do not call you by the name of failure. I call you by the name of grace. I do not see you as a ruined song. I hear within you the notes that have not yet been rearranged, and I know how to turn even the silences, the wrong notes, and the broken passages into a melody deeper, truer, and more beautiful than you ever imagined. Give me the parts of you that still feel ashamed. Place before me the memories you do not know what to do with. Stop condemning yourself for the seasons when you did not understand. We're not steady. We're not bright enough. I do not merely comfort you so that you hurt less. I am rebuilding the way you see yourself in my light. Then you will no longer say, I am someone who came too late. You will say, I am someone who has been led through a process. You will no longer say, I have ruined everything. You will say, I have been shown mercy and rebuilt. And when you stand up in that truth, not with pride, but with gratitude, you will become a gentle sign to many others that grace is not a distant idea, but a real hand, still lifting people up from the places where they thought they would never be able to stand again.